Hey everyone, Riley here, and welcome back to another segment of Overkill Reviews. You know what's up, give us a like, subscribe, follow, and check out the Patreon. Today we're going to be talking some talk about the latest Watain album, The Agony and Ecstasy of Watain. So Watain has, quote, unquote, crawled out of Satan's cunt in 1998 to be exact, somewhere around Stockholm and Uppsala, Sweden. They've had the same lineup pretty much the whole way through of Eric, Håkan, and Pelle. They've had 6 full-length albums previous to this one, and I'd say they really ride the wave of black metal x theatrics. Their stage presence is very ominous. They do the whole candles, blood, dead things, rituals. You know, the audience members are vomiting. They also got their name from the black metal band Vaughn. You guys know Vaughn from Hawaii? So that is pretty cool also. Let's get into the agony and the ecstasy of Watain. I feel like usually when I start talking about what I like in an album, I either start with a point or I start at the start of the album, but I'm going to jump into it a little differently this time. I'm going to just start with what I liked, and then I'm going to work my way down, and I think by the end of this you guys will understand why I decided to take this route. The album really picked up for me at around track 5, and this one was called Leper's Gate. It was about 30 to 35 seconds in, and they started playing this very dissection-esque riff, and that was what grabbed me. I was like, that's cool, it's smooth, it was familiar, and my ape brain went, that's it. That's the fucking thing. And this is when the album started to turn around. And now that my attention had been grabbed, the album moved into kind of a halfway mark. It's called Nor Sun, Nor Man, Nor God. And it was just kind of this pretty little breaker. It's got the piano and the dual harmonic guitars. When I finish listening to an album, I like to reflect. And the first question I always ask myself is, what is it that I remember? So I started to make a list of the things that were standing out. Number 1 being this dissection riff. Number 2 being this pretty little breaker. And that pretty little breaker moved into what I would say is my favorite song on the album, and it's called Before the Cataclysm. It's one of those ones where it just sounded so immortal. I'm not talking like old school immortal, I'm talking like Northern Chaos Gods immortal. And unironically, I really like that album. It was melodic, it was a little chaotic, kind of stinky. They take the initial riff, they play the song through, and then they bring it back around again. So it's super well-rounded, and I love it when they do that, because it's like this reminder of like, yes, this is what I was here for, this is where we started, and now it's 10 times more potent because we've sat and festered in this rot for the last 6 minutes. This then led into We Remain, which I'm pretty sure they released as a single. Super occult, very haunting, female-fronted vocals, and I think it was the song that was probably the most boundary-breaking. It wasn't what I expected at all, and not anything I'm familiar from with this band. It was like they were dabbling their toes into the slower pace and a more melancholic drug than what we've been used to. So that leaves me with the dissection riff, the pretty little piano break, the outspoken and well-rounded immortal bit, and the occult doom lady worship. I could hear within seconds of this album starting that this train was running at Mach speed. It had their blood curdling and pumping simultaneously through every single orifice. It was almost assaulting, and they're trying to tell you that they're clearly very powerful. I think that Watain ultimately has this dominating presence that harks back to and speaks with some sort of ancestral black metal bloodline where they draw all of this influence from these bands that I've kind of been mentioning. They kind of do like a little bit of like Celtic Frost and like Bathory Dissection, Immortal, like I sort of said. And this is what they use to propel them forward. They have the solos, they have the riffs, they have the look, they've got the gore, they have the strong and complementary musicianship, and when I mention these other bands, clearly they hold what is dear to them very close, and they use it for their own advantage. And all of these things are great. They're all sick. And another really cool thing was that they recorded this album in an ancient church somewhere in the Swedish countryside. And I don't care what you say, the recording process is important. And if you are in a cool spot like that, it's inevitable that something sick is bound to happen. So until around track 5, I was listening, but I don't think I was really processing until they caught my attention. Like I said, they came out, the train was going at full speed, and they were swinging. But what are we swinging at? What I've noticed is, and what I think the message was, is this is who we are, and this is what we've done for the last 25 years, and this is what's worked for us, so this is what we're going to continue to do, and you're going to listen. And I can respect that, because it obviously has worked for them, but I'm bored. I feel like I've heard this album before, not only from Watain, but from 100 other bands. I want something different. Tell me why you're here. Tell me how it felt recording this album in the walls of an ancient church. There is so much excitement and development to be had, so let us have it and ascend. So my beef with this album is I love the pieces that sound familiar and sound like other things. And then that leads me to think, do I even like Watain, or do I just like the bits that they do that sound like other bands? And then I think, okay, well, there's been Watain in the past that I've enjoyed quite well. So maybe it isn't just that, but I'm a sucker for those familiar sounds, but I can get those familiar sounds from the source. They do, this band did this, and this band did this, and this band did this, and all of those things work for those bands. So if we take a piece out of every one of them, why wouldn't it work for us? But that's not soul, brother, okay? That's not soul. So when I think Watain, I think cool album art, goat's blood, and the fucking devil. And that's sick. And that obviously has left an imprint in my brain, because it's not like they're mediocre and I'm just forgetting about them. I'm remembering something, and I'm remembering something cool, but it's a different kind of sick than what I hoped for. I think I've just become an immense sucker for new and different things, and I, can reminisce an old school power, but I'm gonna go to the source for that. And even like other bands that have been here for an extended period of time, it's not just Watain, when they release new albums, I'm also very picky with it. Especially if they're just trying to be like they were 25 years ago. Like, I get it. This is what worked. This is what made you. And I should respect my elders. And like, I will allow Watain to keep doing what they're doing, because they've been clearly stomping skulls for this long. So with that being said, I'm going to give this album a 4 out of 5 for actually being decent and having a few tracks that I dug. And a 3 out of 5 because I'm a picky bitch and I like my production shittier and I just want a little bit more unfamiliar zest and nuance. So with all that being said, I'm going to get into my shoutouts. So first and foremost, I have Isvara with The Eye of God. This came out March 22nd, and it is a one-man project out of Barrie, Ontario. It's like synthy, ambient, blackened death doom. It's mysterious and evil, and the guttural vocals are sick. They're sick. Then, second up, I have the band Children of the Void from Norway. This was their album Garden of Bones, out April 15th, 2022. It's melodic death metal for fans of like In Flames. So if that would be you, listen to it. And last, but most certainly not least, I have Unbowed with their album that drops May 20th, 2022, called Color the Soul. They are a melodic blackened death metal band from Guelph, Ontario. The album is based around the concept of the runic soul map, which is loosely inspired by Carl Jung's Map of the Soul. Yeah, just give it a fucking listen. It's gonna be wicked. And just listen to all these bands and Watain, okay? Would ya? Just do it. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. I hope you have a good one.
Tropic